Welcome to our posts. Today we will see stories of r/malicious compliance. I got fired and cost the store approximately $30,000. I was working a second job at our local small grocery and butcher shop, few nights a week to pay for my kids' activities. I was hired as a cashier. The person that did the end-of-day butcher shop cleanup and sanitizing quit. So instead of hiring someone for cleanup, the owners decided that the cashiers could just do it between customers. The owner sat at their office, watching TV and effing around, and when a customer came in, doorbell would ring, they would buzz the phone in the butcher area for the cashier to come check them out. When I came in for my shift at 6 p.m. and was told about the new setup, I told them no. I was not hired to clean up the butcher area, I was hired to run the register and stock shelves. The owner then said I would clean the butcher shop or I could consider myself fired, and they walked away. I said fine, I grabbed my things and left. Apparently, the owner thought I had gave in and was in doing the cleaning. So they buzzed the butcher area when customers came in for about 2 hours before someone told them no one was coming to check them out. The store's liquor area, cigarettes and scratchers got emptied out. It was 7:30 and I got a screaming phone call from the owner about how he was calling the police and I was going to get arrested. Yeah, right. Owner did call the police. The owner stated he wanted me arrested as an accomplice to the thefts because I had left. Cops asked me to come to the store, which I did, and I explained that the owner had fired me, so I went home and the CCTV would prove that fact. The tape was reviewed, and plain as day, the owner said I was fired. I estimate they lost about $30,000. Next story. That one time my son was sent home because of dress code violation at school. When my son was in middle school, I was notified he had to be picked up because he was in violation of the school dress code. I asked what the issue was and on the phone was told he's wearing a shirt that shows nudity. I freak out and rush to the school, my mind worrying as to what he possibly could have worn. None of his clothes that I knew of had nudity on it. As he gets in the car, I see violation. He wore a t-shirt with Bruce Lee on it from Enter the Dragon. When I got home, I called to confirm this was why they sent him home. Sure enough, a topless Bruce Lee's bare chest sent someone clutching their pearls, apparently. A quick stop to the craft store followed. Using puffy paint, I superimposed a lovely bikini top to cover Bruce's man nipples. He wore the shirt to school again and nobody dared say a thing, lol. Next story. You want this price? You got it. Years ago, I worked as an assistant manager for a retail store in art supplies. My store was in a fairly affluent area, and we got lots of bored housewives who'd drop $500 because they wanted a hobby. So one year, the company offered a one-day-only coupon for Black Friday. The store was swamped. Saturday was swamped. Sunday was swamped. I am running a register and trying to get people through as rapidly as I can when she arrives. We'll call her Debbie, D. Throwing 3 bags full of merchandise on my counter. I want to return all of this stuff and rebuy it. Me, okay. Can I ask why? People sometimes did this because they'd used the wrong payment method or something, but I needed to verify. D, I bought all of this stuff on Friday at store 1,500 miles away, and their tax rate is higher. So I want to return all of it and buy it here to pay lower taxes. Now hurry up. I've been driving all day, and I'm tired. This is going to be a pain, on a very busy day, over what comes out to about $2.50. I confirm with the other manager, who agrees this is ridiculous, but we just need to do it. So I start her return. But the totals don't match up. So I have to call and talk to the on-call support representative. He tells me I can only refund my state's tax, and not the other amount. The solution is to manually adjust prices until the tax and totals match. As I'm doing this, Debbie is complaining about how she's tired from driving, I'm taking too long, her dog, her feet, her back, whatever. But eventually I get everything balanced and process her return. Okay, the return has been processed. It's about time. You'd be done already if you weren't so stupid. Now I want to buy it all again. Cue Malicious Compliance Part 1. The thing about art supplies is they can be small and in multitudes. And that's what she'd purchased. Individual pencils, brushes, pastels, sheets of paper, etc. Sure thing, ma'am. But I want to be absolutely certain I ring everything up right. Since I'm dumb. So, with a sweet smile, I take everything out of the bags and ring them up one by one. Of course, some stuff doesn't scan, so it has to be looked up. As I go along, she is getting more and more agitated. The insults get more frequent, and now everyone in the other lines are glaring at her. At last, everything is rung up, and I give her the total. Cue Malicious Compliance Part 2. Remember that coupon from the beginning of the story? The code has been pulled from the system. So her new total, with the reduced tax rate, is significantly higher than the old one. Debbie loses it and starts screeching. It's not even words at this point, only noise. Sorry, ma'am. But it looks like you used our exclusive coupon on Friday. Unfortunately, that coupon is no longer valid. Your new total will be total. She kept screaming, but eventually paid, snatched her items, and left. It was a good day to be retail. Next story. My sister wanted to eat like a dog, so our mom made her eat like our dog. My sister was obsessed with 101 Dalmatians and decided that from the moment the film finished, the only way she was going to eat was like a dog. When I say she ate like a dog, I don't only mean that she lapped up her food with her tongue, but also that she would not use any tables or cutlery and would only eat off the floor, couch, or anywhere else our dog felt appropriate eating. My mom spent days convincing her that this was a terrible idea, telling her that she should eat at the table with the rest of the family. Eventually, my mom got sick of this and made a plan. If my sister wanted to eat like a dog, then she was going to really eat like a dog, and I'm sure you can see where this is going. My mom decided that my sister was now only going to be fed dog biscuits for every meal until she figured out that being a dog wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and to my sister's credit, she really managed to hold out for a lot longer than I expected for an 8-year-old. She held out for a solid day and a half before she decided that she couldn't do it anymore. Anyways, her favorite movie is Aladdin now. Next story. Customer does not want to approve expense report for going less than 1% over when taking a client to dinner. Okay then. So I was on an off-site short-term, not really short, project. Coming from one of the cheapest to live countries in Europe and staying for months in Singapore, project location, I had found some places that I could be eating for pretty cheap and the food was good and within my taste palette. We were getting, let's say a random number, $60 per day for food expenses, but I was spending somewhere around $25 to $30 on average, with the highest ever getting to just under $50. Short project going long, drawn over 10 months by the point of the story, and our customer's client is raising a ton of issues, 70% of them not really an issue. Discussed this a few times with some guys in my company, and a manager told me to take the client out for a dinner and some drinks. He would confirm the extra expense, just be careful to not go too much overboard on the expense. Specifically asked what that means, and he told me try to not go over $200 to $250. We go out and neither me nor the client really drink much, so we end up having some food and a drink each. The guys at the restaurant know me well by that point and almost always do some rounding on the bill or bring something extra to the table on the house, and with them bringing plenty finger food, I end up with a bill of $60.68, number adjusted to the random number above. But yes, about 70 cents above the daily limit. Way below the 200 plus allowance for that. End of month, I send the report in and put a special note for that day and night. Expense report goes through my company with no problems, but the customer, our company's customer, flags that receipt up as not acceptable and not to be covered. They put me in direct communication with customer and IOTA explain. Nope. Not accepted, not covered. Talk again with my company and tell them the situation and that manager X advised me to do so, as well as mentioned he would confirm, but unfortunately the guy is out sick, COVID plus flu, and not to return for at least 2 weeks. The customer must have this settled by the 15th of the month, and he wants to hear specifically from the manager that I was advised to act in such a way and approved by that manager for him to cover it. This is getting crazy and out of hand, so my boss, owner of our company, just covers it from his side. The full $60.68, not just the 68 cents. Customer says no receipt that goes over the $60 limit will be approved. Unfortunately for me, the customer is local to Singapore and he randomly drops in at the job site. And I get to see him the day after the resolution above, and all comments were written in emails. Face to face I tell him, "You do realize that I spent on average less than $27 per day from the allowed $60 per day." This was laughable to be denied. He probably was offended, and he yells at me again that no receipts over $60 will be covered. Well, cue malicious compliance. At all 3 places that I eat every day for the past 10 months, they agree to print $60 receipts every time I eat at their place. They even agree to split in half the remaining value between me and a tip to the server. I had requested for the entire amounts to go to the servers as tips, as I just cared for the petty revenge, but apparently all of them felt a 100% tip every day is uncomfortable for them. Next month expense report is sent out and the customer calls me directly seething and asks why every single daily receipt is at $60 from a specific date onwards. I just reply with no receipts over $60 will be covered, so I have to fit my meals within the allowance. He called to complain to my company, but the relevant person told him that they didn't understand and to please explain what agreement was broken. He never came back as far as I know. I continued charging the max for the remaining 2 months. They're netting me a cool $700 and even better service, food and chef experiments that were otherwise only internal to the staffs of the restaurants. To be honest, I had to pay in having to deal with the idiot customer even more after that, but he was a handful before it as well. I can say that project took at least a year off of my life with all the stress and nerves. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure like, comment, share and subscribe the channel or posts.